time is 6:01. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we're going to begin this evening with a motion for remote attendance.
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to make a motion to approve the remote electronic attendance of 2nd Ward Alderman David Parker, 3rd Ward Alderman Mike Wynn, 6th Ward Alderman Kevin Schoonmaker, Alderman at Large Sonia Berg at the Committee of the Whole and City Council meetings of March 9, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Moyer. We have a second by Alderman Waldron. Roll call, please.
Alderman Potter.
Aye.
Moyer.
Aye.
Schoonmaker.
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
Berg.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Went.
Aye. 8
ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. We are beginning this evening with a proclamation. Make sure this one's it. Yes, this is it.
And we have Scott Moline from the Tax Slayer Center and Dave Harrell from Visit Quad Cities with us tonight. Whereas the 2021 Missouri Valley Conference Women's Tournament will mark the 14th consecutive season in its 39th year history that the event will take place at a neutral site. And whereas Visit Quad Cities, the Tax Slayer Center, and the City of Moline currently serve as host of the signature Quad Cities event known as Hoops in the Heartland. And whereas this year's tournament will mark the 6th consecutive year that the tournament will be played at the Tax Slayer Center. Whereas the tournament drives a positive economic impact for the community, so showcases its destination, improves quality of life, and is a unique opportunity for the region to host a postseason collegiate basketball event at one of Moline's most important assets, the Tax Slayer Center. Whereas it was at this time last year that student athletes, coaches, Missouri Valley Conference staff, and fans arrived in Moline for the 2020 tournament to find that sporting events across the United States, including the NCAA tournament, were being canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, causing 26 seniors from the Missouri Valley's member institutions to miss their last conference tournament and a chance to compete alongside their teammates for the championship. Now, therefore, Stephanie Acree, Mayor of Moline, does hereby proclaim March 8th through the 14th, 2021 as Missouri Valley Conference Tournament Week.
So I want to thank both Scott and Dave for all of their advocacy work and flexibility and continuing to be welcoming to that tournament and helping us be a good host for that tournament. So thank you so much for all your work over the years, and thank you for pulling this off. So would you like to address the council and talk a little bit about?
We appreciate your support, and this is a great event for the city, and it's so fun to watch. We haven't been there. I mean, this year's not a good year to go, but it's really exciting to see these girls. It's the highlight of their life, and to acknowledge that all the support. I felt bad for all these seniors that just their careers just ended right there in the spot. They were heartbroken, and it was hard to watch, but we're onward and upward, and hopefully this year there'll be new memories to be made out there.
So on behalf of Visit Quad Cities, I just want to say thank you, Mayor Acree. Really appreciate this recognition. It means a lot to our organization. You know, this was a very challenging situation last year. I do want to say thank you to Scott and his team. They've been phenomenal throughout the process of our relationship with the Missouri Valley Conference. But the student athlete and the student athlete experience with this event is probably the most important thing that we deliver as a community. So I think the fact that the city and the mayor are recognizing these student athletes from last year, knowing that they had their dreams kind of taken from them, and that we're supporting them and showing them the love and the care from the city of Moline just means a lot to us. So thank you for doing this. We appreciate your leadership. We look forward to this week. It's going to be a little bit different, but I promise you a bright future ahead. So thank you so much. Appreciate it very much.
Quick photo op.
Yes, that'd be great.
Mayor.
I didn't hear the time.
Thank you.
I don't know. It's going to be late. Oh, I told my wife 9. It could be. I'm ready for it.
Are there, you know what, I skipped over questions on the agenda. Did we have any questions on the agenda this evening? Hearing none, we're going to begin with our agenda items. Item number 1 is the Denler contract for 2021 Joint and Crack Sealing Program. Joe Kohlenbeck, are you Are you on?
Yep, thank you, Mayor.
Hi.
Your Honor, Council. Yeah, thanks for listening tonight. What I have, this first one is a contract with is one of our maintenance programs. It's a joint and crack sealing program. Bids were opened publicly on January 26, 2021. Dindler Incorporated was our lowest and most responsive bid at $123,200. Our bids did come in over our budgeted amount of $75,000. We plan not to exceed that expenditure. If there is any reason for us to go over down the road, we kind of plan to look at some of our. A lot of them had come in under. This one came in over, but we plan to look and see where we could maybe best spend some money, additional funds, and we'll bring those forward, kind of depending on the line items and the quantity bids. So, but we do not plan to exceed our budget amount of $75,000. Again, Dindler Incorporated was the lowest responsible bidder, and staff is recommending approval of this contract.
Motion to approve, Your Honor.
Second. Motion by Alderman Waldron and a second by Alderman Moyer. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Potter?
Aye.
Moyer?
Aye.
Schoonmaker?
Aye, sorry.
Waldron?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Went?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Item number 2, 5 cities construction contract for 6th Street reconstruction. Joe?
Yep, thank you, Your Honor, Council. This is a reconstruction project that we had scheduled. It is from 6th Street reconstruction from 4th Avenue to Railroad. This stretch of road is beyond any kind of repair, so it is planned to be reconstructed completely. Bids were open publicly on February 16th for this job. We had an estimated total of $117,500. 5 Cities Construction Company was our lowest bid at $105,556. Staff is recommending approval of this project with 5 Cities Construction.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Potter, a second by Alderman Waldron. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Potter?
Aye.
Moyer?
Aye.
Schoonmaker?
I'll get it figured out. Aye.
Waldron?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Went?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Item number 3 will be presented by Dirk Price, Earthworks Design Agreement for the John Deere Pavilion Tree Landscape.
Thank you, Mayor. This is really a Jeff Manis production, and so in keeping with a Jeff Manis production, in the words of David Byrne from the Talking Heads, you may be asking yourself, well, how did we get here? That's an appropriate reference for you.
Wow.
So this is the odd intersection of city council, city ordinances, and the SSA bylaws. There's been a project on the SSA's books to replace trees in the downtown for some time. Jeff did the initial research. All the bids came in under $15,000. Fast forward now to the time when Jeff goes to bid it, and tree prices are literally skyrocketing across the state. As you know, we represent about 80 park districts. Everybody's redoing their budget around trees. They're super expensive. Kudos to the mayor for seizing the moment to get those trees for the dog park last year, because they would be far more expensive than what we got them for now. And as a result, when the final numbers came in after the actual work, it's $19,000. And we have a $15,000 trigger. So we have to come here and get approval for this project that's being funded by the tree funds that have been set up, in addition to money from the SSA that's in their budget. So it really is a $4,000 issue to rebid formally, as opposed to the process Jeff went through. Is going to cost us money, I think, because prices continue to escalate on trees, plus we lose the timing for the planting and being early. So that's what we're here. You got a thing to show about the project, so I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Thank you, Dirk, for kind of teeing up the way the bid proposal process evolved for these trees. Let me advance this. So specifically, I am administratively working towards getting the tree coffins replanted on a little known corner in downtown Moline known as the John Deere Pavilion. When it was originally developed back in '97, the trees that were originally installed or planted there, as you can even tell by this photograph, began to die off. So they were essentially cut down and then paved over with asphalt. Very early on, with my arrival to the Moline Center, I began to administratively come up with a plan to get them replanted. The Johnny Pavilion obviously is one of the most vital assets to the community. Draws 200,000 visitors annually on average, pre-pandemic. You add all those numbers together, we've had 4, maybe 5 million visitors to that facility. So the specific bid and landscape and quote that we received was from Earthworks. I reached out to many contractors through the bid procurement process, received ultimately 3 of them, and based off of both my staff recommendation as well as the Main Street Commission, we landed on Earthworks for our preferred contractor for this. It's specifically the trees that we want to get planted in there is a mix between American hornbeam and red point maple, both very good for streetscape, as those photographs obviously illustrate. So the staff recommendation that I am coming here today is to split the $19,245 between the SSA 6 and the tree bank that we had built into our budget for this year.
Motion to approve, Parker.
Second.
Second, Went.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker, a second by Alderman Nguyen. Is there any discussion on this? Did you have anything else you wanted to say, Jeff?
That's it.
Alderman Burr.
Hi, Jeff. I didn't see anything in the our documents now. Help me understand again. We did not put this out to bid, or we did, and this was the lowest bid.
This was actually the middle bid with the 3 proposals that I'd received. Prior to the pandemic, I had put out this for bid originally. It came in as well under $15,000, and then the pandemic happened. The original contractors that I'd selected ended up backing away from the project entirely, which kind of brought me back to square one. And when that happened, I began to reach out to additional contractors as they came in, and they came in very simultaneously with each other. All came in at over $15,000. That said, of the 3, they were all within $1,000 of each other. They were very, very close. So it was my recommendation to work with Earthworks because of their long background in completing contractual services of this nature. They're kind of the go-to contractor for replacing cityscaped trees and tree pits.
Alderman Nguyen.
Thank you, Your Honor. I am so excited about this finally coming to fruition. I know shortly after I got on council, was walking downtown and saw those asphalt squares that were down there, and it just didn't seem right. And so, Jeff, I'm so glad that we're getting this finally cleaned up and done right. And Deere is partnering with us to make sure that these could get back in there. And I want to support this. This is one of the reasons why a couple of years ago we started this land bank, or this tree bank fund. Clearly, we're going to use the rest of the funds in other places in the city, but I think this particular place, because of how important it is, the lighting of the commons, how many people come through, I think us putting some of that tree bank money in to make this happen, I think is the betterment, not just for the SSA area, but for our entire community. So I'm so glad we're getting this done. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Alderman Nguyen. Alderman Burr.
Jeff, on the other bid that we have, I got to ask, was the other one from Moline? Did we have any bidders from the landscapers, nurseries in Moline?
Yes, Meyer and Heritage.
Okay, and neither one of those were interested in the project then? Is that what you're telling me?
No, they were interested in submitted proposals. It was the overall experience, because this is a very complicated, I guess, tree pit to get planted for a number of reasons. That it was my recommendation to the Main Street Commission to work with Earthworks. The Myers and Heritage were literally the first contractors I picked up the phone to and with. And at first they were a little bit hesitant about taking on the job, just in general because of the remaining tree materials that is still left in the tree coffins. Essentially extracting those. They found it to be what would ultimately be very challenging, whereas Earthworks, the owner of that, has seen that hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times. He's more capable for the job.
Alderman Parker.
Yeah, Jeff, thanks for touching on that. I wanted to mention to Alderman Berg that, sitting on the Main Street Commission, we had this in-depth discussion in there too, a very robust discussion. But Earthworks has a very unique process of doing this, and they are. We've had so much problem. I mean, even to the point of last year where Jeff had contracted. He didn't contract anything. He contracted with a service, and then they just didn't do it. And so we've had a lot of problems with this. It's a very unique and difficult way to get the old tree material out and make sure these new trees are going to be healthy. So there's a lot more to it than just nickels and dimes here. This truly is, Earthworks truly is the best solution for this problem.
Any other comments before we go to vote? Roll call, please.
Alderman Potter?
Aye.
Moyer?
Aye.
Schoonmaker?
Aye.
Waldron?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Went?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Thank you, Dirk and Jeff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The next item is item number 4, Strand Associates Task Force for RRVRSS IGA Amendment. Tony Lodi will be presenting this evening.
Hi, good evening, Your Honor. Back on February 2nd, the Rock River Valley Regional Sewer System Intergovernmental Agreement was the topic of discussion, and staff received direction from council to get some assistance to incorporate changes to that IGA in the way of an amendment that more fairly represents rate settling and the allocations of capacity to the interceptors associated with the regional sewer system. And so we worked with Strand as directed to come up with a scope of work to make that amendment and also to incorporate provisions required by US EPA related to industrial pretreatment. So we've done that work with Strand to come up with a scope of work and a fee in the amount of $45,250, and we recommend proceeding with this.
Motion to approve.
Second, Went.
We have a motion by Alderman Waldron, a second by Alderman Wendt. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Alderman Wendt, did you want to make a comment? I didn't mean to rush the vote.
No, I just wanted to thank Tony for, we had this conversation for turning this around, getting it done so fast and pushing this forward. I know how important this is that we get this right.
Thank you, Alderman.
And Your Honor, this item will also be presented on the council meeting tonight if approved.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Alderman Potter?
Aye.
Moyer?
Aye.
Schoonmaker?
Aye.
Waldron?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Went?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
Motion carries. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
The next item will be presented by Chris Mathias. It's the MetroLink Ferryboat Terminal, IGA. Hi, Chris.
Thank you. So items 5 and 6 are pretty tied together here. Item 5 is the agreement between MetroLink and the city to make improvements to the ferry dock that's in front of the Tax Layer Center. Item 6 is the temporary construction easement to get MetroLink, on and off the city property there near the river, just for the construction. So this has been a nice team project that's come together here. Dirk's done a lot of heavy lifting on these agreements, and then of course Jeff and Chelsea with the heavy lifting of delivering the federal money to make the project happen. The city really the city had some needs that were happening with this dock where there was a silt issue. The transient boaters really weren't able to use it. And so one of the options was to fix this silt issue every 2 or 3 years. So MetroLink also has the goal of making improvements to it for ADA, accessibility, for better signage. And so really 2 parties are getting something great out of this. And like I said, MetroLink has federal grants to help with that construction. So the city would continue to maintain the docks going forward after all the improvements are done, just as they would have. But the other thing we're getting here is an ADA connection from this stop through the parking lot. So basically back down and into the parking lot there for access. So Jeff and Chelsea are here with MetroLink as well if you have any questions for them. But we recommend approval of this, both items 5 and 6.
Motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Waldron and a second by Alderman Potter. Jeff or Chelsea, do you want to address the council before we go into our discussion part?
Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity, and I think this is an investment we made, I guess, almost 25 years ago, and it's a little overdue for updating, and I think more importantly, it's just we are one of the few ferry boats actually that are 100% ADA accessible, and this one dock has always been a challenge for us, and I think the improvements we're going to do to the dock, and more importantly, even the approach will bring us back into that compliance. And I think one of the other things we found, there's some settling on the path itself, so we'll actually be taking on a large chunk of the path and replacing that to a level ADA compliant path as well. So it's we love working in the city of Moline, and more importantly with staff. And we apologize it drug a little bit. We had almost a 1-year environmental process that we went through, but the pandemic kind of slowed some of our state officials down in getting some of the certifications done. But we spent a lot of time and effort to get to this point, and we're very excited to really get the construction underway yet this summer.
Thank you, Jeff.
I do have glossy pictures, but seeing not everybody's there, I probably shouldn't share with only some.
Will they be available on a website? Can we have them for our website?
Yes, we'll be
That'd
more
be
than happy
great.
to share that with you. And I think the important thing, we did a bathymetric survey. That's the water depths and water flows. So I think in the location we have now, a lot of that silting in should remedy itself over time. So we're pretty excited about moving it out a little deeper water, and more importantly, making that transient boat piece available for downtown Moline again.
Thank you. So, Council, does anyone have any questions for Jeff or Chris? Alderman Went.
Thank you, Your Honor. Jeff, thank you so much. You are a wizard when it comes to grants and all of these things. And so thank you for continuing working on investment in Moline and bettering access for all of our residents. This is great, and I think this is going to be a game changer down there. One thing I guess I do want to ask, and I probably should have brought this up before, but we had a downtown art discussion at PMT earlier, and it kind of jarred my idea about this walking path that looks like it's going to be striped through that parking lot. Would you guys be open to or figuring out a way? There's lots of different things other than just yellow line stripes going through that maybe we could work together to make that a little bit more attractive, engaging, accessing up to the water. I love this idea with this arch sign that, you know, we all talk about. You could be at River Drive and not realize that you're next to, you know, you could hit a golf ball into like the biggest river in the country and not even realize it's there. I think this is really great to draw people down there. But with that walking path, would you be open to something like that?
Yeah, Alex kind of cheated over at Renew and gave us the heads up. So yes, I think at the end of the day, we get a lot of inquiries. What is there to do on the river? And we got a great walking and bike path. We'd like to make this a destination path. And I think the more things that we can build out along there, and more importantly, the clarity of getting to that point is huge. And yes, we'll be more than happy to work with her on that. I know we also then have to get the tax layer involved because I think it's their parking lot, but we're anticipating that working with them shouldn't be a challenge to work on that. And I would love to have something other than just yellow stripes to welcome people to the river.
Very nice. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Roll call, please.
All right. Alderman Potter.
Aye.
Moyer.
Aye.
Schoonmaker.
Aye.
Alderman Waldron.
Aye.
Berg.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Went.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
Thank you. Can I take one brief liberty?
Yes, please do.
Put my other hat on, police and fire, and Captain Johnson and I just bonded for the last 3 days on interviews, but I just want to comment, this is probably one of the deepest pools of applicants we've ever run into. The quality and experience there is really second to none, and I think recognizing both our chiefs, what a wonderful job they've done to develop those two departments to make them the attractive place to get a job, but truly, we were really amazed at the quality of education and experience of the pool. Not that we don't always get good ones, but the depth was very incredible this year. So thank you.
That's good news. Thank you so much. We do still need to vote on item number 6. Is there anything specific you want to talk about before we do that vote, Chris?
Motion
So-
to approve.
Yeah, item number 6 is the temporary construction easement for ferry boat terminal.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Potter and a second by Alderman Waldron. Is there any discussion on that particular item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Potter.
Aye.
Moyer.
Aye.
Schoonmaker.
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
Berg.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Went.
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. Thank you. And we do have an other this evening, Dirk?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, everybody.
Brief update on the broadband proposal to bring it to the entire city. The RFP went out. We got back 3 responses. The team met with Marty at the helm. We narrowed it to 2. We had interviews with them today to walk through some questions we presented to them. They're going to get back to us with answers on those, and we anticipate a report maybe coming out early next week to you, a memo from Marty with these answers that we're waiting on, the memo, walking you through the proposal. So we think it's achievable. We got the 2 candidates one candidate has an A and a B proposal. The team really didn't like one of the 2 of those. So, but it's full fiber to the house, citywide. Interestingly, MetroNet did not propose to bring fiber to the entire city. They were not willing to do that. So we'll be back to you with that, but I wanted to give you a quick update that that's moving forward.
Thank you. That's good news. That's important to the community. Okay, so now we're going to go into our work session. This work session is focused on priority goal number 2, neighborhood stabilization and revitalization. Sorry, that's a hard word. Revitalization plan. It'll be presented this evening by Marty Bonix.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Hopefully we're going to, the mayor's reminded me this afternoon that I have a 5-slide limit, so I'm going to rip through these fast. You've got the full slide presentation, so you can look at them at your leisure, but I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. So internally, we created a neighborhood partnership committee, which includes most departments in the city. It was formed to generate interdepartmental communication, coordination, and collaboration to reach the neighborhood goals. We made sure that, what we are trying to do is not compete with some of the other outside organizations like CDC and others who do great work for our neighborhoods. So this is just internal, and in fact, it's designed actually to support some of those organizations. As you may recall, these are your goals, the city council goals. Neighborhood stabilization, revitalization, priority goal number 2. I'm not going to read those to you, but they are the goals that we are using in order to achieve what we want to try to achieve. So I was going to do like a Venn diagram with all these different departments. Somewhere in the middle is the nexus of all the work that all these different departments are doing. And so neighborhood stabilization, revitalization involves all these different departments. So first, let's look at CED, Community Economic Development. As you can see here, there's a lot of different efforts that have occurred over the past year. Sometimes some of these were due to COVID, some of these were in spite of COVID, but I think the ones that stand out in particular are the infrastructure improvements for digital equity and the work that CED did with HUD in order to get laptops into the schools and to elderly and to those people that need access to the internet. So, and that's, of course, we talked about that just a moment ago as well. Under the goals for next year, increased code enforcement, I think, is one that everyone is interested in addressing and eliminating barriers to affordable housing, home ownership, promotion, retention, and direct assistance, and then creating and maintaining the land bank, which has been presented to you in the past. Next is executive and legal departments. Of course, we are in charge of the block party, and so hopefully with COVID easing up and vaccinations in play, we'll be able to allow neighborhoods to do that again. But human resources, information technology essentially are the different groups that help support all the other departments in the city doing neighborhood development activities. Next is finance. And again, finance has done a lot of work in the past year, assisting the Community Economic Development Department processing a lot of the COVID-19 relief checks to local businesses and to neighbors. In the future, they continue to support customer service, support payroll, support all the internal departments here in the city. Public safety, police and fire, they play a big role in this. Under fire, over 740 business inspections, 431 hazardous material inspections, and 117 rental inspections during COVID. Some of these obviously were not in neighborhoods, but some of our businesses are close to neighborhoods. And so these kind of inspections are very important because they in fact impact the neighborhoods if indeed something bad was to happen in these organizations or in these businesses. In the future, one of the more interesting goals of the fire department, which I think is really, could have huge benefits for neighborhoods, particularly for some of those who are elderly, is the partnership with Unity Point Trinity, developing a paramedicine program that allows paramedics the opportunity to perform scheduled visits with recently released high-risk patients, kind of home visits, and that would help prevent and return visits to the hospital. And also this File for Life, which is a packet that provides the responders with patient health and medical information. So there's a lot of interest in getting that out the door. Next is police efforts. We've all talked and heard about the mobile substation, and that is still a work in progress. Of course, this is going to allow us to increase police presence in neighborhoods, work as a small meeting place, and provide community outreach not only for police but other departments as well. And of course, we talked a lot about crime-free housing. The program educates the property owners and managers on keeping properties safe for tenants, in addition to increasing safety in the community and property. The goals moving forward are to increase public trust by initiating conversations with neighborhoods, and I think that mobile office will do that, and then identify some of those neighborhoods that require higher level of police services. The library obviously has a great impact on our neighborhoods. During COVID, with virtual programs, they were able to provide citizenship classes and employment search courses, and as well as next generation STEAM classes for tweens. It's a lot of vowels there. And then in the future, they want to be able to address community socioeconomic and education needs for a more vibrant quality of life, including programs that outreach with other city departments, such as a Coffee with a Cop and other programs in the parks. So promoting the library in the parks as well. And finally, the parks themselves. So with that, past efforts include assisting neighborhood associations and volunteer groups with small projects in the parks, like the Stevens Park mural, Peterson Park mural, and flowers for park signs, beds, and mulches for guardians. And then in the future, one of the projects that they want to work on is create a pop-up park program with assistance of other city departments to better interact with citizens in a friendly park setting. And of course, again, our trailer could be a key part of that. And finally, Public Works and Utilities. Frankly, with utilities and streets and sidewalks, they do a lot. But in addition, the solid waste grant program and neighborhood cleanup programs are all the kind of things that Public Works and Engineering can do for our neighborhoods. So that wasn't 5 slides, but did I do okay?
Fast, yeah, I appreciate that. So
Yes.
are there anything with, as a work session, is there anything that the council needs to be talking about or making policy decisions on?
Well, I did get some notes from city council members. Of course, one is an update on the mobile police trailer, and I believe that's coming up, right?
Yes, so,
Will you come up, yeah, so our folks at home can hear you.
Yeah, can hear you.
Thank you.
So the mobile office trailer is expected to be completed on May 8th, or a week before, a week after that. And then we're going to work with our partners at Moline Center, I believe, or who's doing that? The
I think
artistic
Renew
design?
sponsored the skin.
That's
Is that what
right,
you're talking
okay.
about?
Yeah, so we're gonna work with them to start creating the design. And so I'm hopeful that I'll actually get to go to the facility here in the next 4 weeks to make sure the layout of the trailer is what we want. And then provided that we don't experience any more hiccups. Parts really became a problem through COVID, I think, for every business or corporation. And so that's really been the struggle, but they're starting to move along. It is on the line and it is being built as we speak, so.
Thank you so much for that update.
Thank you. Another one was the update on the progress of the land bank. And I believe that the next steps, I don't know if KJ's, are you there, KJ? Yes, she is.
I'm here.
Yeah, I believe the next steps are we're waiting to hear from our partner cities to see if they're interested in partnering with us. Is that correct?
That's correct, Marty. The last presentation was done in East Moline just a few days ago. So the next step will be to come together and meet again and hear everyone's decision and then move forward with the presentation to council on the final resolution.
Very good. And then another question was regarding the vacant building registration program. And Dirk, I think if you want to mention where we're doing there.
Thank you, Marty. So Alderman Wendt reached out to Amy and Brad, who are on the front line of enforcing the vacant registry. We've had good success getting the mortgage companies used to registering properties that are vacant while they have them. So that routine is taking place. There have been a couple of questions, I would say, that are unique to how property is used in Moline. There are a number of houses that aren't occupied, but are used by people for things like being a wood shop or storage or intermittent uses like that. So they're not vacant in the truest sense. They're well maintained and taken care of, but they're not occupied in the traditional sense. So we need to make the code adapt to some of those. There's a couple of people. That's not just a one-off. There's a couple of people like that. We also are going to create a new change. At the invitation of Alderman Wendt, we got this new solution. Places like the Best Buy, it's vacant. It should be on the registry, but they do have, we recognize that if you have a property manager who's taking care of the property, you don't have to register with us and we don't have to worry about it. Well, the problem is that we don't always get the name of the property manager when it changes from time to time, because people do that. So what we're going to do is tweak that a little bit and make them on an exempt list. They don't have to pay the fee, but they have to continually update who that property manager is, so we have the information. Because we may, in a vacant building, take, for example, the pipes that were burst that the fire marshal was here talking about last meeting, we may know something sooner than the property manager does. And so we want to have that contact. So those are the little tweaks that are going to happen.
Alderman Potter.
With regard to vacant properties or, for lack of a better term, derelict properties, I know other communities, in particular Davenport, have programs where we have a program where we incentivize new construction and we offer property tax rebates, and where if we could, head down that road and figure out that there's some way we can partner with some of the banks that have abandoned properties or properties that may be headed for foreclosure or something like that, other properties that we know that are falling into disrepair, figuring out some way that we can leverage some city money and then also offer property tax rebates to promote home ownership.
Some of that is what the land bank is intended to fix when we get there. So that's exactly how that money comes together between public and private investment, take over properties that are at risk, and to find ways to put them in hands of people who are doing it. We're also already doing that with the Moline Community Development Corporation. That's been that program.
Right.
As we've identified
Right.
properties, we've gotten them through tax sales and other things at the city, put them in the hands of developers, and that's been a rousing success. We've had 3 good properties go that way.
And I think also it's worth mentioning that having some of these commercial properties register, it's also an economic development tool. So when we get calls, we get requests for, hey, we need a 20,000 square foot building, we got the names, we got the sizes, we got all those kind of things that are available to us in a database that we can provide. So
If I could
Alderman, did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I did. The other question I have is that when Chris Erickson was here, we seem to have a higher level of rental housing inspection, I think, and I'm wondering what it would take in terms of, I know Brad's overloaded, the fire department, their job is to be firemen, not to be building inspectors, and I'm just wondering if we could have some discussion at staff level on what it would take to get some better code enforcement and rental inspection.
Yeah, and among staff and with Brad, with Joe Kuhlenbeck, fire department, Brad Howman, we've been talking about, what does it take to take our inspections to the next level? Because we got, like you said, we got single family, we got multifamily, we got crime free, we've got hazmat, we've got all these different groups doing it. It's like, do we consolidate it? Do we have an interdepartmental task force that deals with that? So I think there's some probably some creative solutions that we can move towards, and we're going to keep having those discussions.
Thank you.
Marty, when is our fire inspector presenting the technology to improve inspections?
I'm sorry.
When is our fire marshal presenting the technology, the proposed technology for improved
next week?
efficiency?
Yeah, next week. Yep.
So that's kind of exciting, and I see
Yes.
the opportunity for technology
Yes.
to expand all of our residential inspections as well. Alderman Moyer?
I was just wanted to comment on something that Alderman Potter said, and I think KJ probably knows more about this. Actually, Rick Schlomer over at IH Mississippi Valley, they have a pot of money, and I think Alcoa may as well, that's meant to partner with homes to keep them affordable and so forth. Recently just did their first project, which was down in Floreciente neighborhood. So I know that that's moving now, and she may have an update, but in fact, that's something that's kind of just kicked off. So it is.
Yes, Alderman Moyer. It was Habitat, the city of Moline, and then the bank as well. We all partnered to do some work inside of a residential home, including a furnace, a water heater, some minor rehab, and it was all done through a collaborative effort. So very successful.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Thank you, Alderman Moyer. Alderman Went.
Thank you, Your Honor. One of the things, as we were originally talking about the vacancy ordinance and how it worked, and I'm not sure if we're utilizing this as a tool as much as we maybe should, but that we have the information if a house isn't using water over like a 3-month period of time. If there's basically minimal or no usage during a 3-month period of time, that at least should probably throw a red flag up and give Brad a heads up, said, hey, maybe this is something that we should drive by. Because I feel like there's always, 3 or 4 times a year, a property, and Brad cannot be everywhere all the time. So we ask residents to help us with that. I just had one the other day where a resident said, I'm sure this is on your list, but this is getting really bad. And I sent it over to Brad, and he's like, because it was a really nice neighborhood, he's like, it was not on my list at all. It wasn't on his radar. And so he's on top of it and taking care of it. But to assist him with that, are we utilizing tools like that can be early indicators for these things? Because one of our problems is we don't really find out about it until it gets so bad that either then we wind up spending like $35,000 to demo the place, or it's been gutted so much that it resales, for bottom dollar, and then has to be rehabbed, and all these resources have to be used just to get it back up to livable. And so that's where I'm hoping to have this help us with an early warning system.
So we are using that tool, and that's how we discovered we have these people who don't have water at their building, but go there to saw wood or do whatever else they use it for. They're not a water customer at the moment. They still pay their utility bill, their stormwater bill, but they're not really using a lot of water. That's how we ferreted these people out, because we went by to say, you're vacant, you need to register. And he goes, I go there once a week. So that's how we ended up with this odd combo of people. So we are using those tools as much as we can to help identify properties. It's and we count on, as we said when we did this ordinance, we're asking you, if you see anything, say something, because that's the only way we can get it in.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. Do you have something else, Alderman Moyer?
Yeah, well, just a few more things. So I have a couple other questions. I think I emailed them to you on this issue, and you were talking about parks earlier, and I don't know if Eric's on here. Prospect Park down by the pond, don't we have a camera? I think that, well, maybe don't we have a camera that there's a sign and there's a camera up there. I don't know if it's working.
I don't know if we have immediate access to that camera, at least internally at the police department. I don't know if the parks department has access to that camera. So I can't accurately comment.
I'll find out. And let you know.
But generally speaking, our parks are closed at sundown, I think.
Yeah.
And so I know that we have the technology, I don't know what it costs, but I've been hearing complaints about a few different parks. One in particular I've heard about recently again is Peterson Park, where there's traffic in and out of there at night. Residents that live near there are seeing cars coming in, meeting up, and then taking right off again. And, not really sure what is going on there, but it's you can't possibly call the police and say, hey, there's cars there, because in 3 minutes they're going to be gone.
Okay.
I'm just curious how we solve problems like that without, having employees going and putting up gates and having police. I don't know.
With this, hopefully with this new broadband fiber optic system, I think one of the things that we want to be able to do is. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we do routinely, we conduct a lot of routine patrols in the overnight hours. There are a handful of parks that have 11 o'clock close times. Peterson not being one of them, I believe that isn't at dusk. So what we can do is, proactively from the police department is we'll just step up our patrols in those areas, because they're obviously in those parks probably doing things they shouldn't be doing. So we'll absolutely get a message out to our staff to make sure that we're stepping up our enforcement.
It feels like there might be an opportunity, though, for some more technology.
So that's a great
Ring
point.
Central.
And actually, I just had a conversation, on Marty's slides, the cameras. And so, like, we're starting in different phases, and we're looking at downtown primarily, but we actually have built out in our conversations with the Vigilon, the company that we've been working at different phases to not only look at our parks, but we put our schools on there, we put a retail phase in there as well. So that is absolutely in the forefront of our mind, and we're looking to hopefully develop this as we work toward this broadband solution citywide, that we're going to be able to equip the entire city with this type of technology. So.
Thank you.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
There we go. Alderman Moyer.
I think that's all. I think it'd be a chance to use some simple technology to make residents feel safer when their homes are up against these parks.
Yeah. So I heard. I can't remember who was talking about it. Were you talking about it, Dirk? The survey, an excellent community survey that instead of asking, do you feel safe at 10 o'clock at night, they ask, do you feel as safe at 10 o'clock at night as you do at 10 o'clock in the morning? And that's how you help gauge, true gauge of a community's safety and how people feel in their neighborhoods. So I think we just need to keep working towards that, and as innovations come up, exploit those innovations.
Exactly.
Alderman Witt?
Thank you, Your Honor. when speaking about the cameras, one of the things we have been doing with the road diets and some improvements with technology, moving away from cut rings that trigger the lights to cameras doing it. I'd like to make sure that the police department and the engineering department is talking to see if those new cameras that we're putting up, make sure that they can integrate into this new system that they are going to be implementing. Because I'd hate for a situation where we spend $50,000 on traffic cameras, and then we learn that if we would have just spent $60,000 on them for like the next version up, they would have integrated into this the safety program. And so, is that something that we can maybe try to facilitate? Because I know we've got some more cameras that we're buying this year that are going to be installed throughout the season.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman Went. We actually are working with. So we're actually working with Josh down at Public Works right now, and we've integrated him and brought him in the fold, and we've actually already started those conversations with Avigilon to see if those cameras would integrate at our traffic standards and stuff like that. So it's being had. We're working through some of the bugs on that now, but we are going to be prepared long term to hopefully have a solution in mind for that.
Wonderful.
That's great to hear. Thank you very much. I have one other quick question, and Marty, I guess we've talked about this real briefly, but I thought I'd just bring it up on the council floor. One of the things that you mentioned that was one of the bullet points through here were volunteers getting our community activated, involved, helping with parks, friends of the parks. I get residents on a fairly regular basis, asking how they can help out, volunteer, do those sorts of things. But one of the things that has been some inconsistency over time is what is our volunteer policy? I hear from some people that you can go in and you can't use anything motorized at all on any city property. And then other times I've seen people with gas-powered weed eaters going around and posting that on Facebook. And so some people get told that they can't do things, and some people told that they can do things. And I would like us to have a conversation about what our policy is and how we can engage our community, because we have people that live near parks, retired individuals, people who just love their park nearby and would absolutely love to kind of add a higher level of service and improvements to those places. And I just think that we need to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we've got a written policy that everybody is adhering to.
Alderman Went, at the end of last year, I think Dirk and I and Annette Roby and Eric Griffith and a few other people, we did get together. We've developed that policy. I believe that we redesigned the waiver. But what I'll do is put out an email memo to you and the rest of the city council telling you guys what exactly happened. We didn't have to change any ordinances, I don't think.
No, that's right. We cleaned it up to make it simpler and easier to be a volunteer without, how did you split the atom kind of waiver form we used to have here. And so we got rid of that, and we tried to make it as easy as possible. The only thing I would say about the power tools, Alderman Went, is that's when it starts to border on scope of work questions, and that's where we get into some concerns. But other than that, we tried to make it easy for people to be able to do work even with a weed whipper. So,
Alderman Williams?
Dirk, I have a question. I have like Carson's Park, and there's quite a few neighbors that would do just that. They would upkeep the park and probably do a better job than, people that can only get to it once a week. And when I bring that up to them, that there's a division of labor there that we can't cross over, they say, they always say is, who owns the parks? Do we own the parks, or do the union workers own the parks? And I don't have a good answer for that.
Well, obviously, the taxpayers of the city own the parks, and we're allowed to work with the union on volunteer things. The question has come up when we put volunteers with our workers. That some of the volunteer initiatives have been, we're going to have staff out there overseeing the work you're going to do as a volunteer group. That's when we get into that people want to, as they do down at Ben Butterworth, people who want to take care of the gardens or take care of the flowers or do whatever, we can make that happen without a collective bargaining thing. It's not that hard. Not everything's a legal issue. It's only when we put power tools at the disposal of volunteers to help them do something larger that we get into an issue.
Alderman Williams.
But if the neighborhood wanted to just take, like, 2 or 3 retired gentlemen wanted to run a lawnmower along the boulevards and weed eat the boulevards, not even inside the park, would that be an issue, or is that something that could happen?
We would want to articulate it with the union, but I think we should be able to work it out. It shouldn't be a collective bargaining issue, but we want to do it above board and tell them.
Great, thank you.
Alderman Potter.
I was going to say, and one of the things to remember at all times is a safety factor, that once we begin to allow volunteers on there, we want to make sure they've signed the waiver, and we're dealing with, we're sure that everyone's going to be safe.
Right.
Anybody else have anything for neighborhood stabilization? Alderman Moyer.
Just one last thing. We have a complete streets plan that's supposed to be coming before council soon. One of the things that we hear a lot about, especially again now that spring's here, are people that are out walking. And, you see a lot of cars now. They're, the snow's now moved its way back off the road, and people are speeding up again on the roads. And one in particular, I know you got the email, and it's a regular one, and he's got a pretty good complaint. 38th Street, 32nd Avenue, that whole runway, and it's not the only one in town. But just driving here today, I saw somebody kind of racing through there. It was actually a truck. That plan is supposed to address that. And
right. Mike Wendt probably has better. I believe that's coming to the city council pretty soon.
I thought it was ready to come, and I'm kind of wondering when we're going to see it.
I think Joe had mentioned that he had a time schedule for it. He mentioned it on a call maybe yesterday with me, but I don't recall exactly. Maybe it was at the end of the month. I'm not really sure.
It's coming soon.
It's coming soon. I don't think speed bumps are necessarily a good solution.
Well, I think every community struggles with traffic calming. How do we keep it safe and yet make it passable?
Well, and that's one of the things with the Complete Streets policy that's going to be coming. There's a traffic calming section that we've included with it. So there'll be not only some processes for people who have complaints about current roads and those sorts of things, but more importantly, as our engineering group and we're doing new builds and new streets, and that we're going to design them in ways that are community friendly. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the streets historically have been designed to say, how fast can we get as many cars as we can from A to B? I think we are now recognizing that is a bad approach, and that when you're going through neighborhoods, we have to be much more diligent to take into consideration bicyclists, pedestrians, and those sorts of things. There are main thoroughfares that we have through town to get from A to B, but when you're going in front of people's houses where kids are playing, that's certainly not a place where people should be feeling comfortable driving 45 miles an hour whipping down the street.
Thank you, Alderman Wendt. Marty, do you have any closing comments?
No, I just want to commend staff for all the hard work they do. And as you can see, it's not just one department, it's a lot of different departments working on our neighborhoods. And thank the support of the city council for all the programs that we're able to implement. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you, council, for the discussion. I'd now like to open it up to public comment. Do we have anyone from the public that would like to address the council this evening? If you just approach the microphone and just give us your name.
My name is Art Bodebender. I run Katie's Import Food. My concern tonight is about food licenses. I do understand there has been some leniency or some, I shouldn't say leniency, some kind of help to the liquor licenses. And-
Your Honor, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we can hardly hear him on the remotes. Can we
Okay, okay.
maybe the volume adjusted or something?
I think
Thank you.
the microphone has been adjusted.
Okay.
Is that
Is that better?
does that sound better, Alderman Schoonmaker? Thank you. Thank you.
Much better.
To our attention.
I have been concerned about food licenses for years, especially for the small entrepreneur. They're very, very expensive and I think entirely too high. However, that's another story. What I'm concerned about now is what has happened over the last year with COVA. And everybody has been hurt. I know the liquor license had probably been hurt even more than the food licenses, but we have been hurt too. Fortunately, I was allowed to stay open, but that didn't mean I made any money or made. In fact, in the beginning, in March, April last year, I barely could make enough money to pay my power bill, but that's all right. I made it. All right, but I'm concerned that the licenses that these people have to pay, including me, could be either reduced or eliminated for a year. We need help. In particular, I think about Beth Lacomocino. We've all been by there. She's had to have a table on the street and have people come out in the cold, in the rain, in the snow to service them. I'm sure she's had a very good, difficult time. Other places in town. And I just ask the council to be considerate and somehow help us small people. Not the big poodle, the big licenses, the small licenses, of which I am a part. Beth Lacomocino is a part. There's quite a few others. And I would, before we have to pay our licenses, I already got my bill. And I'm just thinking, maybe we could have some help.
Could I ask you a question?
Yes.
When is your bill due?
End of April.
And do they all come together to me? Thank you. Thank you for that information. And so we'll follow up and get some more information to the council about what that looks like.
Yeah.
How many people carry the licenses and what the cost is per business.
Okay.
So we'll do a little research. Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment this evening?
No, there isn't. Thank you.
Without any further business for the committee of the whole, I'd like to close out of the committee of the whole, and we'll go on to the council agenda this evening. There'll be no invocation, so we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Alderman Williams?
Present.
Parker?
Present.
Went?
Present.
Cotter?
Present.
Alderman Moyer?
Present.
Schoonmaker?
Present.
Waldron?
Present.
Berg?
Present.
Your Honor, I request approval of Committee of the Whole Council and Executive Session Minutes of February 23rd, 2021. Resolutions. Council Bill 1050-2021, a resolution authorizing exception to the moratorium on hiring and promotion pursuant to Resolution 1051-2020 to promote eligible firefighters and to fill vacancies when practicable based on resignations and retirements. Council Bill 1051-2021, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to an independent contractors agreement with Tri-City Electric Company of Iowa for a fire station electrical upgrade in the amount of $30,675. Council Bill 1052-2021, a resolution authorizing the seating of home rule volume cap. Council Bill 1053-2021, a resolution renewing a revolving line of credit between the City of Moline and First Midwest Bank in an amount not to exceed $2,900,000. Council Bill 1054-2021, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a contract with Walter D. Law Incorporated for project number 1351, 2021 Inlet and Catch Basin Replacement Program for an amount of $82,845, and authorizing city staff to negotiate change order number 1 to add locations and to increase the contract sum to an amount not to exceed $100,000. Council Bill 1055-2021, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a contract with Five Cities Construction Company for project number 1359, retaining wall removal on 53rd Street at Jane Addams School for an amount of $32,510.65. Council Bill 1056-2021, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to a contract with Walter D. Law Incorporated for project number 1345, 49th Street north of 12th Avenue for an amount of $468,032. Council Bill 1057-2021, a resolution authorizing exception to the moratorium on hiring and promotion pursuant to Resolution 1051-2020 to hire a traffic operations worker. Council Bill 1058-2021, a resolution authorizing exception to the moratorium on hiring and promotion pursuant to Resolution 1051-2020 to hire a water distribution mechanic. Council Bill 1059-2021, a resolution authorizing exception to the moratorium on hiring and promotion pursuant to Resolution 1051-2020 to hire a technology and systems integrator. Council Bill 1060-2021, a resolution authorizing an exception to the moratorium on hiring and promotion pursuant to Resolution 1051-2020 to fill 2 groundskeeper parks maintenance positions.
Motion to approve the consent agenda, Parker. Second, Went.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker and a second by Alderman Went. Roll call, please.
Alderman Potter?
Aye.
Moyer?
Aye.
Schoonmaker?
Aye.
Waldron?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye. Aye.
Alderman Williams?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Went?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
Non-consent agenda resolutions. Council Bill 1061-2020, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute and attest to task order number 21-03 pursuant to an agreement with technical services dated December 18, 2018 with Strand Associates Incorporated to prepare an amendment to the 1977 Rock River Valley Regional Sewerage System intergovernmental agreement for the amount of $45,250.
Motion to approve 1061-2021, Parker. Second, Went.
We have a motion by Alderman Parker and a second by Alderman Waldron. Is there any discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Alderman Potter?
Aye.
Moyer?
Aye.
Schoonmaker?
Aye.
Waldron?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Went?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries.
First reading ordinances. Council Bill 3003-2021, an ordinance amending Chapter 20, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the Moline Code of Ordinances by amending Section 20-5201, Establishment of Snow Routes, Section 20-5202, Notice when parking along snow routes is restricted, Section 20-5203, Removal of vehicles parked in violation of this division, and Section 20-5119 1A, penalties for violations of this article. Council Bill 4003-2021, a special ordinance providing for the financing by the City of Moline, Illinois for the water main in TIF number 7 Airport Business Park by authorizing issuance of $299,379 in a revenue anticipation note and purchase of the same by the Water Fund of the City of Moline, Illinois, appropriating monies for said purposes and authorizing execution of any related documents. Council Bill 4004-2021, a special ordinance providing for the financing by the City of Moline, Illinois for the sewer main in TIF number 7 Airport Business Park by authorizing issuance of $367,173 in a revenue anticipation note and purchase of the same by the Water Pollution Control Fund of the City of Moline, Illinois, appropriating monies for said purposes and authorizing execution of any related documents. And that is all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you, Janine.
Thank you.
And we'll now turn our attention to our miscellaneous business. I'll go around the council chambers. If you have something you'd like to share with the council or the community, please speak up. Alderman Williams.
Yes, Your Honor. I guess not understanding how we arrive at our fees, I would encourage staff to really give what Mr. Bodenbender had to say. Places like Katie's Market, Lago Marcino's, and Jerry's Market are, are places that probably operate pretty close to the margin. So anything we can do to help them, I would encourage that. But I wanted to thank Rod Schick and Zach from engineering. The 700 block of 18th Avenue is a real problem with a lot of the patches and fixes so that it doesn't drain properly and ice builds up there. And it's been a problem since I was a kid, riding my bike up there. Real complaints with up there with the ice. But he went out with a business that had a real problem with people falling on the ice, and they went above and beyond. It took a real negative problem. And by the time they went up there with bags of salts and chipped the ice and did it on their own, they turned it into a positive interaction, and just kind of, it was, it's what's right with city services when they go above and beyond like that. And I just wanted to recognize them for that. Say thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Williams. Alderman Parker?
Yeah, I'd like to take a moment to thank some folks. About 10 days ago or so, there was a garage fire a couple houses down to the south of me between 12th and 13th Street, and it's totally gone. But I want to thank Chief Snyder and his crew, Moline Police Department, Public Works, QCOM 911, and the second alarmers. It was just really cool to be able to have a front row seat watching how they all performed. They did a fantastic job. No one was hurt. A lot of damage. I mean, everything was gone in the garage, but it could have been a lot worse. And it was one of those cold, icy days. And we're just lucky that everybody did come out without any injuries, and as far as I know, and they did a really very professional job, and I've heard a lot of comments in the neighborhood about what a great job they did. So thank you to all the departments that were involved.
Thank you, Alderman Parker. Alderman Wendt?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Potter?
Nothing, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Moyer?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you. Alderman Schoonmaker?
He's looks like he's refreshing.
It is refreshing.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Nothing. Thank you, Alderman Schoonmaker. Alderman Waldron?
Yes, Your Honor. I was wondering if we could get from staff a report showing what we spent on snow removal this year, to include regular hours, overtime, standby, versus what we spent last winter, just as a point of reference so we know what we spent this year versus the last year. And I mean 2019, 2021, and hopefully we have no more snow between now and that report.
I'd like to ask for an enhancement of that report. I think it would be very interesting to have it like an average per event, because I know we had more events this year than we did last year. This year was a pretty extraordinary snow season. Is there another snow season that's more similar?
They're all different. I mean, you can go back to 2011.
If we're trying to, but I want to compare apples to apples. I mean, we use like half our salt last year, and we didn't even really tap into anything
this year.
Well, last year. This year we did.
I mean,
this year we used more, but
yeah, and I'd like that report to include salt. It just gives us a point of reference for what we're spending.
So I would ask that it be enhanced so that we can try to, even though every year has a different type of snow event, that it be something that we could quantify, kind of like the inches that we removed or the events that we addressed compared to other times.
I know it gets difficult to do that comparison when you go back to get all those records, get all the records from the weather department, figure out how much snow you use. It gets difficult the further you go back. So that's why I only wanted 19, 2020.
Understood. Thank you.
Your Honor.
Yes, Alderman Wendt.
I recognize what Alderman Waldron said about it. It's difficult, but we have those records. They're there, and I think we actually probably should, because if we're really going to be comparing apples to apples, snowfall event to snowfall event, what's going on, I certainly think we should go back a few more years than that. We all know from one year to the next, the amount of snow from one year to the next can be quite different. I mean, this year I think was the second or third longest amount of time where we had more than 2 inches of snow on the ground, and the number of events we had and the ice that we had. So I don't believe that just comparing this year to last year would be useful at all. So I think going back the last 5 years, we're a city the size of Moline. If we're not keeping good records, then we've got other problems, because that should be something that we're keeping every year anyway. And so I'd like to see at least 5 years worth, so that we can truly understand what's going on and actually see trends.
Alderman Waldron, do you have anything
That's
else?
fine. Just, it'll take longer, but that's fine.
Thank you, Alderman Waldron. Alderman Berg.
Nothing, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Berg. So that's my turn. So the State of the City is coming up next Monday. And every year it's hosted by Kiwanis Club or Rotary, or, well, kind of joint hosted, but officially it's Rotary this year. And so the event will be a virtual event again, and it'll be presented during the Rotary meeting, which is noon on Monday, the 15th. So the invitations just went out today. And so you can observe it by tapping into the city's Facebook, the city's website, the MediaCom channel 18, or YouTube. It'll be recorded on YouTube, so if you want to watch it. And just to give you guys the inside scoop of what'll be happening, the focus of this year's event is about partnerships and us partnering with other organizations to strengthen our community. And so we have some guest speakers at this event. One of them is Reverend Ford. He is the executive director of Project Now. And he'll be talking about our digital equity project, our joint project to get internet devices and internet service to our Head Start families and our seniors in need. And then we also will have a presentation by Maria Ontiveros. She is the co-founder and executive director of Mercado, and she'll be talking about that event and how it's evolved over the years in partnership with Moline and what the next phase of that organization is. And then we will also have a presentation by Mayor Tom Murphy, and maybe you all remember him. He presented at the 25th anniversary of Renew. So he's a dynamic speaker. He was the mayor of Pittsburgh for several terms, but he is and I'm not sure I'm going to get his title right because I can't remember it, but he's with Urban Land Institute. He's a senior fellow with Urban Land Institute, and he will be one of our professional experts that will help guide us through the Urban Land Institute Technical Assistance Panel that will have the virtual component, although he's been here before, but the virtual component will happen in April, and then there'll be more of a full Urban Land Institute Technical Assistance Panel in late summer. So that'll all be brought up during the event, and so I hope that you all are able to watch it at noon, and if you're not, I hope you have the opportunity to watch the recording of it. Is there anything that staff would like to present to the council or the community tonight? Is there any public comment for the council agenda? Hearing none, do we have anything else? Alderman Williams.
Your Honor, I make a motion that the council convene an executive session for the purpose of discussion of collective negotiating matters 5 ILCS 120/2C2 and appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Williams and a second by Alderman Potter. Roll call, please.
Alderman Potter?
Aye.
Moyer?
Aye.
Schoonmaker?
Aye.
Waldron?
Aye.
Berg?
Aye.
Williams?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Went?
Aye.
8 ayes, no nays.
That motion carries. If we could please clear the council chambers so we can convene in session.